Lisa Raleigh's Back to Basics, brought to you by Serta. Serta, available at the following stores.
If you're somebody that hasn't been able to touch your toes in a while, then you need to listen in. I'm here today with the biokineticist, Richard Woolrich, who's going to be showing us how to stretch, when to stretch, and why to stretch. Richard, welcome.
Thank you.
Very nice to have you here. Something I really need to know a bit more about is stretching. So can you tell us and the viewers, and Graham, why is stretching so important? What are the benefits to the body?
Well, basically, you need to be able to stretch well and get to certain ranges of motion. Because in your everyday activities, there's certain things that you need to be able to do. For instance, bending over to tie your shoelaces. If you have massively tight hamstrings, you're going to end up having chances of hurting your hamstrings and, importantly, actually hurting your lower back. And often, very tight hamstrings lead to lower back problems. That's the one stretch that we'll show you just now.
Okay, so what's the difference between active and dynamic stretching?
Okay, so you have generally two types of stretching that you'll see most people doing. It would be a static type of stretch, which you see most people doing. It's in the gym that you'll see these guys sitting there, and they'll be holding a stretch for a period of time. So it's a static stretch. Okay. The other type of stretching is a dynamic stretch, so it's a bit more of a movement in it, and at no stage are you actually holding the end point of the stretch. So it's a dynamic movement, getting you ready for actual activity.
Perfect. Okay. Cool. And what's the myth behind not stretching when you're cold? Like, don't stretch before you exercise. Is that true?
Yeah, it's hugely important that you get that protocol right. And the fact that when you are stretching, you're going to look at doing a dynamic stretch at the beginning of your workout, and you generally do that after, well, you should definitely do it after a good warm-up. Cool. It's important to get your body nice and warm, get the blood flowing, and then you go into a dynamic warm-up. Cool. At the end of your workouts, that's when you should look at doing your static stretching, where you'll be holding the stretches.
When you're warm and pliable.
No energy
like
to move.
And you're finishing off your session, and helps you calm down, cools the body down, and you'll be holding those stretches for a little bit longer. You'll be holding those stretches for 20 to 30 seconds on each side. Of the body.
Well, I'm keen to try one or two stretches.
Cool.
Don't outstretch me now, because Graham is super flexible. I saw him showing off just now, so yeah.
I've got to pick my battles, man.
Okay, splits, let's go. Okay, so which one's first?
So I think let's start off, both you can go on your back, and we'll follow on with what we said earlier with a hamstring stretch.
Great.
So you're going to be lying down on the floor with your back nice in a neutral position. And what I want you to do is keep one leg bent as it is, and I want you to slowly straighten one leg up. Keep a slight bend in your knee, and I want you to put your hand just behind the back of your hamstring, back of the knee. Okay, now both of you obviously have quite nice flexibility in your hamstrings.
Nice one, Lisa.
Yeah. I mean, the big fella here is actually looking pretty good too.
Okay, as long as I'm better. Okay.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Okay, so now ideally you should be feeling a nice, gentle stretch, and this is the important thing when you're doing a static stretch. You'll be holding for 30 seconds, but you also want to stretch so that is a level of discomfort within the muscle you're trying to stretch. So ideally it's the hamstring, but you shouldn't be pulling so hard that there's a level of discomfort. Okay, so it's a nice level of tension. After you've held it for 30 seconds, then you can release it down, and we can try the other side. So let's have a look at the other side.
Perfect. What happens if you've got one leg that's more flexible than the other, or stronger than the other?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's very important, and most people do have that scenario where, due to a previous injury or whatever the case is, one hamstring is tighter than the other, or one quad is tighter than the other. It's important to be aware of that, because now what you've got to do is make sure that you're trying to get symmetry within your body. So if your right hamstring is tighter than your left, you spend a little bit more time stretching your right hamstring. So you could do 3 sets of 30 seconds, and your good leg you do one set of 30 seconds.
So ideally you want to hold it for 30 seconds and then repeat it on either side once, twice, 3 times.
3 times would be perfect, yeah.
So stretching actually takes quite a lot of time out of a workout then.
That's a good way to get your head into the game, to focus before you start training, I find.
Yeah, absolutely. And also to breathe properly, and afterwards relax your body.
Breathing is important, and you don't want to be fighting yourself. You want to relax into it, almost enjoy it, and be aware of what's happening in your body.
Thank you very much, Richard, for today. And thank you as well, Graham.
I think we did pretty well.
I think we did. You didn't outshine me too much. So for those that are watching, make sure that you practice your stretching at the beginning and the end of every workout. Don't make it the last thing that you do. Make sure that you prioritize stretching, because it does form the basis of a very holistic and balanced workout routine. No more excuses.
Stay with Expresso and SABC3.